calving interval is one of the measures we can use to assess fertility in a suckler herd. I'm sure most of us will know fertility is the foundation of profitable suckler beef production. So anything that measures fertility has got to be important to the business. The second reason it's important is that it's available now to cattle producers in Scotland. It's freely available to us all through ScotEID and MyHerdStats. Now that's a big win, so you don't need extra software on farm, you don't need to enter any new information. You can go and get an exact figure for your calving interval, reflective of your recent herd's fertility performance without putting any extra information in. So that in itself makes it important. It's available to us now and it can teach us something about our herd. The perfect cow in the perfect herd would, I think most people would agree, would have a calf once a year, and she would have a calf. The perfect cow now would have a calf on the same day every year, the 15th of February or the 1st of May or whenever your calving is, she would have that calf the same day each year. So that would give her a precise calving interval of 365 days. She would retain that over all of her productive life. So the optimal calving interval really is probably around 365 days. We do calve cows over a calving window, and that can be variable in length depending on your system. But there's always a window and cows will move within that. And cows can both come in less than 365, but more commonly in most systems, they'll come in slightly over 365. So if we look at a herd average, what we would be wanting is that the herd average is coming in as close to 365 as possible. If it's moving up to sort of 370, 375, 380, that's probably still reflective of quite tight fertility control. Probably you'll have quite a tight calving period. You'll probably have a high proportion of cows calving in the first 3 and 6 weeks. But as we move above that into 380s, 390s, even 400, that is going to be indicative that we don't have tight control of fertility and the business is probably suffering as a result. So we're probably having higher costs and less output because of that increased calving interval figure. The factors that affect calving interval are all the factors that affect fertility. And of course, that's a mix between female fertility and male fertility. And in most of our suckler systems, we are using still natural service with bulls working with the cows. So if we start with the female, it's about setting her up to be as fertile as possible to the first cycle when the bulls are put in. For heifers, maiden heifers, that means making sure that they're grown to the right size, that they're in good health and a size and stage ready for the bull, and increasingly that they've been screened for risk of a narrow pelvis that might lead to problems further down the line, particularly at their first calving. So heifer health, heifer management is critical to getting a cow into her first calving in good order. For cows that are calving now or have already calved, then the calving itself is critical, and unassisted calving, where they calve by themselves and quickly recover, gives the best chance of setting the uterus up for the subsequent period. If we assist the calving, if we have a hard pull, we're often doing a lot of damage to the reproductive tract. We're leaving much higher risk of infection, and there's very good evidence to show that's going to lead to an increase in calving interval, a lower fertility cow when the bull first goes in. Cows that calve late are much harder to get back in calve quickly again because they have less chances with the bull. So if you calve late, you won't be ready to go to the bull when the bulls first go in, and you may only get one chance towards the end of the breeding season to get pregnant. So that can also cause us a problem. So setting the cow up to be as fertile as possible, particularly around ease of calving, is critical. Nutrition is vital. We know that cows that lose excessive body weight, body condition after calving, pre-calving, after calving, in that window, they're going to be much less fertile when the bulls go in and much greater risk of an increased calving interval. And then other health factors, so those can be infectious diseases that affect the uterus or ovaries and affect fertility. They can be things that you can see, like lameness issues, other disease processes. They are all going to reduce the fertility of the female part of the herd. So those are critical. On the male side, obviously having a bull that's in good condition for working, able to work, good libido, free of lameness, moving well, is critical. But do remember, we can't see the quality of the semen from an external exam only. And that can be an issue, that is a very common issue rather, in many herds where the bull looks great, happy to work, ready to go, but is producing sub-quality semen. And the only way to try and screen that out is by semen testing the bulls before the key breeding season. So those are the primary factors that can have an influence, and those are the factors that we need to take care of to aim for a good calving interval. Get onto MyHerdStats, have a look at what your calving interval is, and if you're moving away from that magic 365 number, if your average is too high, if you have too many cows high, then your business is losing money as a result of subfertility, and that's something that you can control and can bring back into the business. Remember, maybe more than any other factor that we tend to work on in terms of health risk management, fertility is a cycle. So once we start improving fertility within a herd, getting a better calving interval, more cows calving in the first 3 weeks, shorter bulling periods. Once we start moving in that direction, it does tend to get easier to hold that position and continue to progress. The converse is also true if it's going the opposite way. If calving's getting more spread out, if cows are slipping backwards, calving interval going up, then that tends to feed itself. So it does tend to be getting better or getting worse. So make a decision for the business. I want to bring this number down and I want to improve fertility. Once you've made that decision, there isn't a magic bullet. So I'd be very cautious of anybody that comes in saying that this supplement or this injection or this magic medicine is going to make the difference for your herd. That's very unlikely to be the case. What's needed is a good review of fertility as part of your health risk management, and the best place to get that is through your vet practice. So speak to your vet about which elements may be affecting fertility in your system, and then start working on them in a very focused way. Now, the way we do that, when I do that for clients, that's going to be different with every client I work with. There's going to be a slightly different approach needed depending on the circumstances. We've covered the factors that affect fertility, so of course we can guess around infectious disease or nutrition or calving ease. There's a mix of things that can be worked on, but the solution is going to be different for every individual herd. And having a solid health plan, speaking to your vets and having them involved in analysing where you're at and then deciding on how best to move forward is by far the best way to approach this.